The design you see here comes from the ArchiCAD environment, and you can see from just say selecting this arrow that it's a leader, and if I look in here and you see the text that belongs to that leader says new 1.2 meter high glass pool and so on. Notice all of these hieroglyphics at the beginning of the phrase. Both ArchiCAD and AutoCAD use these complex character codes that will change the look and feel of the text. So gCADPlus is reading that text, but can sometimes have a little difficulty with it because as it comes across into this environment, the gCADPlus environment from a DXF file, all of the properties of the layers that have been used by, in this case, ArchiCAD, come with you. So that one that we were just looking at was annotation label pen number 1, and its line weight is 0.13. Look as we scroll down through here, the complexity of the layers that are used here, and notice that almost every individual layer has a different line weight associated with it. And in some instances the colour is set by foreground or the usual colour, but in other instances the colour has been set, this one to colour 64, 165, 255. They're the red, green and blue colours of true colours. So we can have a little bit of trouble working with it unless we look at these properties of the various layers. To illustrate, let me change my view to white, and we've lost that piece of text. There it is in there, but I can't even see the leader. It looks as though the leader has been separated from the piece of text. So it's not until I do a crossing window through there do I get all of those. The other thing I noticed when looking at this drawing is, let's zoom out just a little, and this area through here, I think if I pick that piece of text and look in here, again the hieroglyphics are there, and that all it wants to say is some graph. So we much prefer to set a style and use that name style. But if I zoom in and just select here, in my drop list you can see I've got some end text has been picked up, a hatch. So if we pick the hatch and filter the hatch from the selection set, you can see there it is, and there's its colour, 37, 36 and 56, 37. So it has a defined colour, but also look at the colours assigned to the layer. So there's one called Garden Design Pen Number, let's widen that out, Garden Design Pen Number so and so. So let's see if we can find, is it in alphabetical order? It should be. I'll just pause for a minute and see if I can find it, but it does illustrate the difficulty of working with systems that come in like this. And you might choose to select everything and just push it all back to a single layer and work in that way. Now the reason I was having some difficulty was that gCADPlus puts the layer names in alphabetical order, but it puts all uppercase before lowercase. So the layer that we wanted was Garden Design Pen Number 104, and you can see it has had the colour associated with it for the layer, but as you saw when we looked at the hatching itself, the hatching's got a much darker colour. So whether you're used to working by defining a colour or controlling colour by a layer can be important. So let me just illustrate again. I'll try and see if I can pick that hatching. I can't, I've got to do a crossing window across here and isolate the hatching. So the point that I'm making is that the colour, as we see it here, 37, 56, 37, a dark colour. The entity, the hatch, has had that colour associated with it, but the layer that it's on, Garden Design Pen Number 1, is actually a green colour. So what I'm going to do now is just change that to by layer, and then we'll come back in here and unselect all, and voila, we see a green area which is clearly a lawn to go through there. So can you see that working with the drawing that's come from the ArchiCAD environment into DWG and then via our converter and into gCADPlus, you really have to have your wits about you. ArchiCAD obviously works with a very, very complex layer and colour system. Well, exactly the same occurred with the colour of the pool. It also had a dark colour associated with it, and once we changed that to by layer, the correct pool colour appeared. So it's these colours through here. Some of the entities are on the wrong layer. Now, I suspect we won't be too critical of the ArchiCAD user, but it may be the ArchiCAD translator that's caused this, but we're not sure. So how can we make this drawing easier for our landscaper to use? Well, I'd be inclined to select everything and turn that back, in fact, to layer 0. So we've put everything on layer 0 and our colours have disappeared. When we go into layers here, there are quite a swag of layers now that we can remove. So I'm going to work my way, I won't hold you up, and work my way through this and just remove as many of these layers that are now empty as I can. Well, after a little experimentation, we found a much easier way to handle this conversion problem from ArchiCAD. We've changed the output version of the file from the conversion from release 14. Sorry, what did we have? No, we had 2007 ASCII, and I've wound back to release 12 ASCII, which is a very simple version of the DXF standard. So I've now converted using that as the conversion, and off it goes. And I'll swing now to gCADPlus and show you the result. Well, here's the result. Using a much simpler version of the DXF file format, we've got a much better result. We can read the text over the green grassed area, and if I go to layers, you can see that the fancy line weight settings have been stripped out and there are no layers here without entities on them, and we've even lost all the, everything's gone back to capital letters, so the complex sorting that we required on the layer has gone. So release 12 DXF is the format to use when you're dealing with ArchiCAD files.